Welcome back to part 2, and welcome back to Cheyenne Life. This is Debbie. We're just going to continue where we left off, which was looking at the cauliflower and the fallen over onion. And now you can see down in there that the romaine lettuce is really coming on now. It's even getting that slight little red tint to the edges. Beautiful, beautiful lettuce. Nice big heads are coming on. And the collards have really ballooned out since thinning all of the, or not thinning, but trimming all of the cauliflower's lower leaves. So it gave them a little bit more light access, and definitely they filled out. In fact, they're even bigger now than that one broccoli that I had stuck over here, because it just really didn't have room in the other areas. So do have that in there, and I'm going to have to move this because if it spins, it's going to end up cutting some of the leaves on these. So I'm going to move it over a little bit. Let's go ahead and put that back down in here. I'm just going to move it in front of the sunflowers. And then we've got that extra cauliflower there. It's called a snowball cauliflower that is trying to catch up right there in front. Anyway, the cauliflower looks absolutely wonderful. And I apologize that I keep having to pause the video. I'm having to put my dogs back in the house. I'm trying to leave the door open because it's just so hot that I'm trying to cool everything off this early in the morning before the heat comes on in the later part of the day. All right, I had to pause it again because the dog kept coming out, so I had to go ahead and shut the door and raise the window on the door, so that way there'll still be some air get in there. This is the zucchini and yellow straight neck squash patch. The plants are, for especially the yellow straight neck squash, are just enormous, getting really big. They're getting up to the height of the trellis that I made. Just enormous plants. They've completely spread all the way to the back. And I do have some lettuce back there, so I know that it's shading it a little bit, but I hope that we'll have some nice lettuce anyway because it was already getting kind of big. We do have the other two broccoli in the back, and those were from my own seed earlier at the beginning of the season, and they are now starting to get heads. I did get back there a couple days ago, and they had started to get some heads, so it's going to take them a little while to catch up with the others, but they are just as big as the ones up front, so I know they're going to have nice big heads. They're just a little bit more shaded. We definitely have some peppers coming on now, and I noticed something that someone had said the other day on a video. Let me see who it was. Oh goodness, I don't remember now, but she does some of the Better Homes and Gardens garden where they come out and they take pictures and videos and things like that. And she was talking about one of her pepper plants that she had gotten from Walmart. And I guess they have Better Homes and Garden plants in Walmart as well. And she was talking about one of the pepper plants was supposed to be a lunchbox pepper, and it turned out that it was becoming looked like a jalapeno. So I'm looking at and which was tagged as being a lunchbox, a red lunchbox there in the back. And do you see a little bit of a curve to the peppers that's coming on? And I'm thinking it looks like a Thai chili to me. So someone switched tags and someone switched plants around, and that's what people do at the beginning of the season. I really wish they would stop doing that. It's literally not very expensive to just go ahead and buy the pack of 4 instead of switching things around. But anyway, it looks like we ended up with a Thai chili. That's okay. We'll find something to do with it. But disappointed that I didn't get the lunchbox peppers like I wanted. And you can't really tell the difference between pepper plants. They all look the same. So anyway, so it makes me wonder about the giant Marconi that I was supposed to have. And you can see how big that pepper is now. Looks to me like it's an Anaheim and not a giant Marconi. It's really long. It's big, but it's just really long, and the details of it looks like an Anaheim pepper to me. So anyway, I like Anaheim peppers, so we'll see how it tastes when it comes time. And then we've got blooms on all the peppers that I started from seed myself, and those were peppers that I either got in the packs of the Kaleidoscope blend or Purple Bell. And I also had a lot of store-bought peppers that I'd saved the seeds, and every single one of those came up and became nice big plants. So it could be some of those too. I don't even remember what I planted at this point. They don't have tags because they were my own seed. All I did was tag them and say some sort of bell pepper. So we have those in there. They're all blooming, beginning to get peppers on those as well. I did lose that one pepper plant at the front that I was talking about, and I think it was just because of the sunflower being so close to it and kind of shaded it out, but that's okay because I have like, gosh, at this point 30 something pepper plants that are still left, and all of them are blooming now except for 6 of them, which were the very, very, very young ones last planting. So I don't know if they'll do anything or not. Got a couple of big cabbage heads back there. We did eat one cabbage head and it was absolutely delicious, and now we've got a couple more that are coming on, and then all, of course, the young cabbage plants that will be ready most likely by the end of the season. And we do have zucchini on the zucchini plants and all of the yellow straight neck squash. All of them are blooming. All of them have squash on them in varying sizes. None of them are ready yet, but they will be very, very soon once they get started, as everyone knows. So I look forward to those. Beautiful plants. All of my cactus zinnias, these are zinnias that look like they have kind of a double bloom with some spikes, are really setting up nicely. I did get some tips of advice from the lady with the Better Homes and Garden that she does, that they come out and do video, and she was talking about pinching the bloom so you can get more production out of the zinnias, but I don't think I'm going to do that because it is so late in the season. I don't want them to have to try to catch up again. So we're probably going to be looking at only one bloom on these if they get a chance to bloom, and we'll see. Calendula looking great, just getting bigger and bigger. Looks like it might start having blooms soon. And of course the green beans have spilled over the top of the trellis, really filling out leaves. They're all blooming like crazy. I did get a mess of beans off of here from the bush beans last night, and then I've got some more coming on. It'll be ready in the next couple of days. It'll add to that just to make it a little bit bigger mess of beans. And then very shortly we will start having beans from the long pole as well, because they're all blooming. And just overlapping the trellis and going back down. Peas are looking great. We do have peas down in here. Pea pods are hanging. They have made kind of their own little trellis going on because I didn't have an opportunity to do it. And as long as they interweave on each other, and there's 5 rows in here, little skinny rows. And I don't think I'm going to do any more peas. I thought I was, but I think we've got enough for quite a while. We've got the 5 rows in here. All of them are starting to bloom and starting to produce. We've got some pea pods and all that other stuff going on. I'm not sure if you can see the lettuce there in the back that I did plant, looking absolutely beautiful. So I should be able to start harvesting that soon. And that is a nice long row back there for us. So there'll be plenty. And then of course I've still got tomatoes, super sauce tomatoes hanging in just bunches on these tomato plants. So looking forward to those. And the red curry squash is starting to interweave in between the tomato plants. Not sure if you can see it back there, but it does have a red curry squash on it. And in fact, a few of them do. And they did pollinate, and they're getting bigger. And then I do have the acorn squash back there as well, blooming and starting to get some acorn squash on it. But everything's looking great as far as the tomatoes are concerned. They're still recovering from the little bit of browning that they had on the edges. See, we still have a little bit on here right now, but got new leaves coming on that do not have that at all. So looking great, and I did trim them up. All of the plants along the fence are looking fantastic. This rhubarb is definitely taking off as well. Got several new leaves down in there that are going to be large stalks, as you can see, coming out. So look forward to that. And that's my daughter's coleus, and I'm starting to get some purple in there, so it's looking really pretty. We are getting some tomatoes on this extra tomato plant that are hanging down at the base. So it looks like that it is a yellow pear tomato, not a gold sugar like I thought it could be. We did harvest some of the cress, as you can see here. Ate that in a salad. It was absolutely delicious, nice and spicy. All of the roses. The roses are kind of at the end of their blooming, but they do have some new buds on them that are coming out. So we still got some stuff going on with those. They'll continue blooming up until it's just too cold to bloom. So beautiful, beautiful mini roses, or tea roses as you want to call them. And still looking great on my pots of petunias, even though they are getting towards probably latter part of their lives. I have been keeping the blooms pinched back that die back, so just looking fantastic still. Still no progress on the onions because we had that hailstorm, and I think the hailstorm just damaged them enough, or something happened with the bulbs that they just didn't do anything. Because as you can see, we're getting sunlight in here. So sunlight wasn't the issue, or shading out too much wasn't the issue, and we've had plenty of heat, so that's not the issue. It was either something wrong with these onion bulbs, or the hailstorm just did too much damage. Do have a cocozelle squash over here that we kind of tucked in. Smaller plant, but it is blooming, and it does have some squash on it, so it will have enough on it to validate its existence, shall we say. And all of the red curry through here, looking great. Definitely can see some red curry on it now. The squash, they're still pretty small. There's one, you can see it right there. And it is pollinated. So it really should start taking off very soon and getting bigger. And of course they get a nice, brilliant orange, almost red, because they are red curry. And tomatillos are looking fantastic. We've got little lanterns, as I call them, hanging all over the place now. Quite a few of them are getting pretty big. So looking forward to that. And then of course the 2 super sauce tomatoes in the front, looking great as well. And blooming and getting some tomatoes on them. They were a little bit later than the others, but not too late. Tomatillos are looking amazing, and they're probably at this point about 5 feet tall. So I'm sure they're going to get much, much bigger. This one back here in the back, you can see, is over 5 feet tall at least. And it's kind of dominating everything, and I hope it doesn't start shading out everything too much, or I'm going to have to start trimming some of the limbs on it. This singular tomato plant over here is a yellow pear as well. I think, yeah, yellow pear. Definitely taking off, spreading out. And then we've got the cucumbers right beside of it, nearly to the top of the trellis on this one. And we do have some little cucumbers in there. And I have been pollinating them with a brush, or just using the flower to flower method, but still not any real cucumbers set on it. I mean, we've got the little cucumbers that are on it, but they're not pollinated. You can tell because they're really, really tiny. And I've been doing that, but I'm not having a whole lot of luck, and I'm just not happy with them being in the ground. So we're not going to do that next year. We're going to definitely put them in the pot, because I've got cucumbers in the pots over there that are far advanced, and this is a much older plant. We do have some other cucumbers, the younger ones, that are coming on and setting runners. So I'm hoping to get some cucumbers out of them. I just don't know how many at this point. There's a whole row behind here of cucumbers, and these are all the white spine cucumbers. So I'm hoping that I'm seeing something from them soon. And then we've got this other trellis of beans here. The trellis beans have made it all the way to the top of the trellis and starting to interweave over the arch and filling out their leaves, blooming. There's a lot of blooms on them, more towards the bottom. So looking forward to that. And I think we are having the same issue that we had last year. We've got a couple of the bean plants that are dying off for some reason. And I had that same issue in this section last season. So I may rip this out next season and not do this again right here. and move these trellises into more of a row like I have the other beans, which are doing much better. And here are the red curry and behind the beans and behind the trellis. I had actually came out on the walkway and was crossing the walkway, and I just interweaved it back around the corner. But there are red curry in here. Just can't see them because there's just so many of these vines at this point. There's 8 plants that I know in here. And here is the runner that was going across the walkway, and I had interweaved it back. We have more yellow pear tomatoes hanging here on this plant that is in a square foot pot. So you don't have to have a very big pot. This is a square foot pot. I just put a lot of organic fertilizer in it with the Job's Organic, and beautiful plant, nice and big and strong, and tomatoes hanging all over it. Just thick as thieves in here. Plant looks beautiful, healthy, no crisping on the leaves, got a little bit of leaf curl here and there. Nothing to write home about, but looking great. And acorn squash back here in the back, and the artichokes. Artichokes are really looking nice, especially this one up front. Nice big leaves. I think this one up front is a white globe artichoke. I'm not sure about the one in the back. The back is not doing as well, probably because it's shaded so much. So we'll do a little change around. This was an experiment to see if they liked it back here a little bit more this season, or if they liked it where they were, and I think we're going to move them back where they were. These are the giant oxheart tomatoes, and as true to their name, they have spilled over the cages completely. They are a tangled mess in there. I cannot get to them because of the red curry and the acorn squash anymore. So we're just going to have to hope they do well. But the cages, they are tied all the way up to the top of the stakes. But the cages, they are spilling out over the top, and definitely are going to get super huge. And I'm hoping, I think I've seen a couple of tomatoes on them, but I think they got a lot of catching up to do to get tomatoes on them. But anyway, just looking great. And I think we're going to have to go into a part 3.